The quantum resonance array hummed with an unexpected frequency, its delicate sensors picking up something that made Dr. Elena Rodriguez's hands freeze mid-calibration. She blinked, convinced her eyes were playing tricks, but the spectral analysis remained constant, a signal that was decidedly not random noise. Lunar Research Station Omega-9 was supposed to be quiet. Isolated. The kind of place where weeks could pass with nothing more exciting than a micrometeorite ping or a solar wind fluctuation. But this was different. Elena called to the station's artificial intelligence, run a full-spectrum analysis. Compare against all known communication databases. The holographic interface flickered to life, translucent blue lines tracing complex patterns. Analyzing, the AI responded, its voice modulated to sound calm. Signal characteristics do not match any recorded terrestrial or known extraterrestrial communication patterns. Elena leaned closer to the display, her dark hair escaping from its hasty ponytail. The signal was structured, unmistakably artificial. Mathematical. Rhythmic in a way that suggested intelligence rather than natural phenomenon. Each pulse carried a complexity that defied random generation. Isolate the core frequency, she muttered, fingers dancing across the quantum interface. Years of xenolinguistic training had prepared her for theoretical first contact, but theory and reality were vastly different landscapes. The signal carried a strange harmonic quality, almost musical yet mathematically precise. Prime numbers emerged in its structure, a universal language that transcended biological communication. A mathematical handshake across the vast emptiness of space. Aria's voice interrupted her concentration. Dar. Rodriguez, I've identified a repeating sequence that appears to be a coordinate system. Cross-referencing with galactic mapping suggests an origin point approximately 42.7 light-years from current position. A star system they'd previously catalogued as unremarkable suddenly became extraordinary. The Vela constellation, home to a cluster of planets that had always seemed too stable, too quiet. As Elena worked, the signal began to transform. What initially seemed like pure mathematical abstraction started revealing more nuanced patterns. Information. Communication. It's a warning, she whispered, the realization washing over her like cold water. The transmission contained fragmented images, not visual in the traditional sense, but mathematical representations that Aria slowly translated into comprehensible data. Massive energy signatures. Gravitational distortions. The mathematical language of an impending invasion. An alien civilization was facing extinction, and they were reaching out across the cosmos for help. Elena's hands trembled. First contact wasn't supposed to happen like this, a desperate transmission, a civilization on the brink of annihilation. The academic papers she'd written, the countless hours of theoretical research, seemed painfully inadequate in this moment. Aria, she said, her voice steadied despite the adrenaline coursing through her, prepare an encrypted transmission to Earth Central. Priority 1 classification. We need every xenolinguist, diplomat, and defense strategist assembled immediately. The AI's response was instantaneous. Transmission protocols initiated. Estimated receipt at Earth Central, 47 minutes. 47 minutes. In cosmic terms, it was less than a blink. But for the civilization sending this desperate message, it could mean the difference between survival and complete annihilation. Elena Rodriguez had dedicated her life to the possibility of extraterrestrial communication. She never imagined her first real contact would be a cry for help that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe forever. The quantum array continued to pulse, each transmission a heartbeat of an unknown civilization reaching across the infinite darkness, hoping someone would listen. The International Space Council's primary chamber resembled a modernist cathedral of global cooperation, sleek curved walls of translucent polymer, holographic displays floating like ethereal windows, and representatives from every major nation seated in a circular arrangement that symbolized equality. Ambassador Marcus Kaito stood at the center, his tailored graphite suit a sharp contrast to the emotional storm brewing around him. The transmission from the Lunar Research Station had transformed the Council from a bureaucratic assembly into a cauldron of conflicting opinions. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kaito began, his voice cutting through the murmur of side conversations, "we are facing an unprecedented situation. An alien civilization is transmitting a warning of imminent invasion, requesting our assistance." A representative from the United States delegation leaned forward. "And what precisely do we know about these potential invaders? Or the civilization requesting help?" Dr. Elena Rodriguez's preliminary report materialized on the central holographic display. Mathematical sequences, gravitational anomalies, and fragmented data visualizations danced in three-dimensional space. Each image told a fragment of a story too complex for immediate comprehension. The transmission suggests a civilization technologically advanced enough to communicate across 42.7 light-years, Rodriguez's recorded briefing explained, but seemingly unable to defend themselves against an approaching threat. The Russian representative, Viktor Volkov, scoffed. "And we are supposed to risk our resources, potentially our planet's security, for an unverified alien transmission?" Kaito understood the skepticism. Humanity had spent centuries looking to the stars, dreaming of contact, but always with a comfortable distance. This was different. This was an immediate, tangible request for intervention. The mathematical complexity of the transmission eliminates the possibility of a random signal or technological glitch, interrupted Dr. Amelia Chen, the Council's lead xenolinguistic expert. These are deliberate, structured communications that demonstrate not just intelligence, but a sophisticated understanding of universal mathematical principles. The holographic display shifted, showing comparative analyses of the alien transmission against known communication models. The precision was extraordinary, each sequence a perfect mathematical harmony that transcended traditional linguistic barriers. "We're talking about potential first contact," Kaito said, his diplomatic training tempering the excitement in his voice. "But more critically, we're discussing a civilization facing potential extinction." Political tensions surfaced quickly. The Chinese representative raised concerns about potential technological risks. The Indian delegation questioned the economic implications of an interstellar intervention. The Brazilian contingent emphasized the need for comprehensive environmental impact assessments. "We cannot act hastily," warned the European Union's senior diplomat. "The risks of misunderstanding are astronomical." Marcus Kaito watched the debate with a mixture of frustration and admiration. This was diplomacy in its purest form, nations with complex histories and competing interests attempting to find common ground in the face of an unprecedented challenge. A breakthrough came unexpectedly from Dr. Chen. She had been analyzing the transmission's deeper layers, beyond the initial mathematical communication. "There's more," she announced, her voice cutting through the diplomatic posturing. "The transmission contains not just a warning, but what appears to be cultural data. Glimpses of their civilization, their values, their understanding of cooperation." The holographic display transformed, showing abstract representations that seemed to pulse with an almost living quality. Geometric shapes that suggested social structures. Wave patterns that hinted at emotional landscapes. Mathematical representations of what could only be described as their civilization's collective consciousness. "They're not just asking for help," Dr. Chen continued. "They're offering something in return. Knowledge. Perspective. A potential bridge between our civilizations." The room fell silent. Ambassador Kaito recognized the moment. This was more than a diplomatic decision. This was a potential turning point for human history. "We need a comprehensive team," he declared. "Xenolinguists, quantum engineers, diplomatic experts. We must decode this transmission fully and understand the complete context of their request." The International Space Council was about to embark on humanity's most significant diplomatic mission, a journey that would either represent our species' greatest moment of interstellar cooperation or our most spectacular diplomatic miscalculation. Outside the council chambers, the stars continued their silent vigil, waiting to see how humanity would respond to its first true test of cosmic citizenship. The Quantum Collaborative Research Facility materialized like a crystalline dream against the stark Nevada desert landscape. Its architecture defied traditional design, a series of interconnected geodesic domes that seemed to shimmer and shift, reflecting both cutting-edge human engineering and the subtle mathematical influences extracted from the alien transmission. Amir Nazari stood before a massive holographic interface, his fingers tracing complex quantum algorithms that danced like living mathematics. Around him, a team of the world's most brilliant minds worked in near-telepathic coordination. Quantum engineers, xenolinguists, theoretical physicists, and communication specialists from 17 different nations formed an unprecedented collaborative effort. The transmission isn't just a message, Nazari explained to the assembled team, it's a Rosetta Stone of cosmic communication. The holographic display erupted with intricate geometric patterns, mathematical representations that seemed to breathe and pulse with an almost organic quality. Each sequence was a fragment of the alien civilization's knowledge, their understanding of physics, communication, and survival. Elena Rodriguez, now part of the research team, pointed to a particularly complex sequence. See how these quantum entanglement patterns suggest a fundamentally different approach to information transfer? They're not just communicating, they're proposing a complete reimagining of interstellar communication. The alien transmission had revealed more than just a cry for help. It was a comprehensive package of scientific knowledge, mathematical principles, and technological concepts that challenged everything humanity understood about physics, communication, and interspecies cooperation. Marcus Kaito, serving as the diplomatic liaison, watched the scientific team with a mixture of awe and concern. "Can we actually use any of this?" he asked, his diplomatic pragmatism cutting through the theoretical excitement. Nazari smiled, a rare occurrence for the usually intense quantum engineer. "We're not just using it. We're learning from it." The breakthrough came unexpectedly. A young Brazilian quantum engineer named Juliana Santos discovered a hidden layer within the transmission, a set of mathematical principles that suggested a revolutionary approach to energy shielding. The principles were so advanced they initially seemed impossible, defying current human understanding of quantum mechanics. "It's like they're showing us how to create a defensive barrier that doesn't block energy," Santos explained, her holographic models rotating with complex elegance, but instead redirects it. Transforms it. The implications were staggering. The alien civilization wasn't just offering protection, they were providing a fundamental reimagining of defensive technology. A method of survival that prioritized transformation over destruction. Tensions inevitably arose. Military strategists viewed the technology with skepticism. Political representatives worried about potential risks. But the scientific team saw something more profound, a glimpse into a completely different approach to conflict and survival. Dr. Nazari worked tirelessly, translating the alien mathematical language into something human technology could interpret. Each breakthrough felt like solving an impossible puzzle, with the alien transmission serving as both the puzzle and the solution. "We're not just decoding a message," he told the team during a late-night strategy session. "We're engaging in the most complex act of translation in human history. This is more than technology. This is a conversation across the vast emptiness of space." The facility became a nexus of human potential. Scientists who had previously competed now collaborated with unprecedented intensity. National boundaries dissolved in the face of a greater challenge, understanding a civilization reaching out from the depths of space. As weeks turned into months, the team began constructing prototype technologies based on the alien transmission. Energy shields that seemed to bend reality. Communication arrays that could potentially reach across light-years with unprecedented clarity. Quantum computing models that made current supercomputers look like ancient calculators. But beneath the technological marvel, a more profound transformation was occurring. Humanity was learning to think differently. To see beyond its limited perspective. To understand that survival might mean adaptation rather than confrontation. Outside the facility, the Nevada desert stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vast, unknown spaces that humanity was finally preparing to explore. Not as conquerors, but as collaborators. As students of a universe far more complex and beautiful than they had ever imagined. The alien transmission continued to pulse. A mathematical heartbeat. A promise. A challenge. The massive holographic display in the United Global Defense Command Center pulsed with an ominous blue light. Gravitational distortions traced delicate, terrifying patterns across a three-dimensional star map, marking the approach of the invasion force. Commander Kira Okoye stood at the center of the room, her posture rigid, eyes fixed on the slowly expanding threat. 6 months of preparation had transformed humanity's understanding of space warfare, but nothing could fully prepare them for what was coming. Incoming transmission from the alien civilization, announced the communication officer. The room fell silent. A holographic representation materialized, not of a humanoid figure, but of a complex geometric form that seemed to breathe and shift. Mathematical symbols danced around its edges, a language of pure information that the team had spent months learning to interpret. The message was clear: the invading force was approaching faster than initially predicted. Their technology was beyond anything humanity had encountered, a civilization that seemed to view spacetime itself as a malleable construct. "The quantum shields are our only hope," Dr. Amir Nazari said, joining Commander Okoye at the central display. The technology they had developed, a hybrid of human engineering and the alien transmission's revolutionary principles, was untested at this scale. Kira Okoye understood the stakes. This wasn't just a military engagement. This was a test of humanity's ability to survive, to adapt, to understand a threat beyond traditional comprehension. Space telescopes tracked the invasion force's approach. What appeared initially as pinpricks of distorted light gradually resolved into something more terrifying. Not ships in the traditional sense, but massive energy constructs that seem to fold and unfold through dimensional spaces. "They're not just traveling," Dr. Nazari muttered, "they're rewriting the rules of spatial movement." The first contact would happen near the orbital defense perimeter of Jupiter. Humanity had transformed the gas giant's moons into a complex network of observation and defensive platforms, utilizing the technologies gleaned from the alien transmission. Marcus Kaito, now serving as the primary diplomatic interface, worked frantically to maintain communication with the civilization that had first reached out. Their mathematical language had revealed more than just a warning. It had shown a civilization that viewed conflict as a last resort, a problem to be solved through communication and understanding. "Prepare quantum resonance arrays," Commander Okoye ordered. The room hummed with anticipation. The invasion force began to manifest. Not as discrete ships, but as a wave of spatial distortions that seemed to ripple the very fabric of space. Traditional weapons would be useless. The quantum shields developed from the alien transmission were humanity's only hope. "Activation sequence initiated," announced the lead quantum engineer. The shields came to life, not as a solid barrier, but as a dynamic field that seemed to breathe and adapt. Instead of blocking the incoming energy, they began to redirect it, transform it, negotiate with the very fundamental forces of the universe. Kira watched in awe as the first wave of the invasion force encountered humanity's defensive line. It wasn't a battle in any traditional sense. It was a complex mathematical dialogue, a negotiation happening at the speed of light, across millions of kilometers. Moments stretched into an eternity. The fate of two civilizations balanced on the edge of understanding. "Transformation sequence stabilizing," the quantum engineer whispered. Something extraordinary was happening. The invasion force wasn't being destroyed, it was being communicated with. The quantum shields weren't just a defensive mechanism. They were a bridge. A way of saying, we understand. Let's talk. Outside the command center, Jupiter's massive form hung in the background, a silent witness to humanity's most important moment of first contact. The universe held its breath. Time seemed to fold in on itself. The space near Jupiter's orbital defense perimeter became a canvas of impossible geometries, a meeting point between two civilizations that defied traditional understanding of conflict, communication, and existence. Commander Kira Okoye watched in stunned silence as the quantum shields transformed from a defensive barrier into something entirely unexpected. What had begun as a potential battle was becoming a conversation, a dialogue conducted in mathematical symphonies that transcended spoken language. Dr. Amir Nazari's voice broke the tension. "They're not trying to destroy us," he said, his voice a mixture of wonder and scientific precision. "They're trying to communicate." The holographic displays began to resolve into intricate patterns, not of war, but of understanding. The invading force wasn't a singular entity, but a collective consciousness seeking resolution to an existential threat that had driven them across vast stretches of space. Marcus Kaito, standing at the diplomatic interface, realized they were witnessing something unprecedented in human history. First contact wasn't a moment of conquest, but of profound mutual understanding. Fragments of information began to coalesce. The civilization that had first reached out, the one that had sent the initial transmission, was not the target of invasion. They were refugees. Survivors of a cosmic event so catastrophic that it had fractured their entire civilization across multiple dimensional spaces. The invading force was a collective of dimensional refugees, searching for a new home, for survival. They need sanctuary, Dr. Elena Rodriguez translated, her fingers tracing the complex mathematical language that was now becoming clearer. Not conquest. Survival. The quantum shields began to pulse with a rhythm that was almost musical, a technological handshake that represented something far more profound than military strategy. It was a bridge between two civilizations, two ways of understanding existence. Kira Okoye made a decision that would define human history. "Open a full communication channel," she ordered. "No defenses. Complete transparency." The room held its breath. The geometric forms that represented the collective consciousness began to shift. What appeared initially as a threat revealed itself as a complex tapestry of survival, of hope, of a civilization that had lost everything and was seeking a new beginning. Humanity's quantum shields transformed. No longer a defensive construct, they became a welcoming mechanism, a way of saying, you are not alone. Information flooded the systems. The refugees carried with them millennia of scientific knowledge, cultural understanding, and survival strategies that could revolutionize human understanding of the universe. They had survived by adapting, by understanding, by communicating. Marcus Kaito stepped forward, becoming the first true diplomat of interstellar relations. "We offer sanctuary," he translated through the complex mathematical language. "We offer understanding." The response was immediate. The spatial distortions began to stabilize. What had seemed like an invasion force now revealed itself as a collective of dimensional travelers, each geometric form representing a fragment of a civilization that had survived unimaginable challenges. Dr. Nazari's team worked frantically, creating translation matrices that could bridge the vast communication gap. They were doing more than interpreting language, they were creating a framework for mutual understanding between two fundamentally different forms of consciousness. Outside the command center, Jupiter's massive form continued its silent rotation. Humanity's first true test of cosmic citizenship was unfolding against the backdrop of the solar system's largest planet, a reminder of how small they were, and how vast the possibilities of the universe remained. The invasion that wasn't an invasion had become something else entirely. A meeting. A sanctuary. A new beginning. As the geometric forms stabilized, as the mathematical language of two civilizations found common ground, something profound emerged. Not just first contact, but first understanding. The universe had presented humanity with a choice. And for once, they had chosen collaboration over conflict. Kira Okoye looked at the holographic display, at the intricate dance of mathematical communication, and understood that everything had changed. Humanity would never be the same again.